Our St Andrews, it's Mrs Nicholas here with a really exciting assembly today because it's one of my favourite days of the year. It is Number Day. Now your teachers have planned some amazing maths tasks and challenges to get your brains really thinking today. And my assembly is all about maths, numbers and puzzles. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I know it's Friday morning, but you've got your brain switched on and you're going to really have a good go at some of these maths challenges which I've thrown in to our assembly today. So anyone that knows me really well knows I love a bit of a competition. So what I have done today is I have set up a selection of different TT Rockstars battles to take place across the day. So they start this morning and they finish at 2:30 this afternoon. So I wonder who will be triumphant in our class battles, our year group battles, and our teacher versus student battles. And I know the grown-ups are going to be super competitive with these. So you can see they all start today on the 4th of February. We've got a ginormous competition between the students and the teachers. That's years 3, 4, 5, 6, and our lovely base class as well. We've then got a year group battle between 3SH, 3DH and 3BHB. We've then got a battle going on between 4KW, 4LD, 4MH and BEA. We then have a battle going on between 60H, 6PW and 60B. We also have a year group battle going on with 5JR, 5AK and 5NP. And then we also then have a year group battle which goes between year 3, year 4, year 5 and year 6. So I'm going to be watching this throughout the day and doing live updates to your classroom about who is currently in the lead. And I wonder who will get our lovely certificates on Monday for being the most valuable player in each class. You've got to make sure you're logged on, you're trying your hardest to earn all of those coins to help your class or your year group win that battle. As well as TT Rockstars, your teachers will have also set you a My Maths challenge. It might be a task, or it might be an activity, or it might be an opportunity to play some of the amazing games that are on My Maths. So at some point today, make sure you go onto My Maths, make sure you've got your login card, and make sure you have a go at one of the tasks that your teachers have set you. Now I said this morning you were going to need your brain switched on, and this is the first maths challenge of my assembly today. So you are going to need the following things. So your teacher might pause after this to make sure you're all prepared. You are going to need a whiteboard and a whiteboard pen, or a piece of scrap paper and a pencil. You're going to need your determination because it's going to be quite challenging. And you're going to need excellent listening skills. So in a minute, I'm going to play you a music video and you've got to listen really carefully and find out what the answer to the question is. Your teacher might decide to play it a few times because it is quite tricky. But again, use your whiteboard or your piece of scrap paper to jot down any jottings or anything that's happening in your brain to try and work out that final answer. And I'd love to know if any of you have managed to find the solution to the question.
Next up, we've got a maths question, and it comes from the band The Wanted.
Hi Chris, hi everyone. We're a boy band, so we speak in sync. Here's our maths question. Patsy won't do it, Louie won't do it, Mossy won't do it, Mozzie won't work it out in his head. Here's the math question, I won't pay attention. I 10 to 11, take away 7, add on 8. So try and calculate it out. Now, add on 4, times I got you and then do that once more. Take off 9 and then add on 5. And now we really want to know, what is the answer?
I wonder how many of you managed to find the answer to that problem. I did say you'd need good listening skills. I'm sure, St Andrews, you won't have let me down. And I'm sure that you use those good listening skills. If you find me or see me around the Connect today, please, please, please come and check whether you had the correct answer. Now, our second maths challenge. You're again going to need a whiteboard and a whiteboard pen or a piece of scrap paper. And again, you're going to need to have some perseverance with this. You won't let me down, I know. So, we are going to do what's called a Soul Emoji. Now, there are two examples. You can choose one slightly trickier than the other. So you can choose whether you want to do the yellow one, if you want to do the purpley blue one. And what you've got to do is you've got to work out the value of the emoji. Okay, so if I look at the yellow one now, just in case you haven't done these before, you have got two rather gruesome looking monstery alien faces. And you know that because they're the same face, they've got to have the same value. So you know something, add something, and they've got to be the same, equals 14. Fingers crossed, you think, oh, that's 7. 7 add 7 equals 14. Then underneath, you now have got a partying zombie plus our zombie we've just worked out, which we know is equal to 7. So we know something plus 7 equals 13. Now, I'm not going to give you any more help. But, again, your teacher's probably going to pause it now to give you the opportunity to have a go at solving these Soul Emojis. I wonder, how have you got on with our Soul Emojis? Fingers crossed you'll find me at some point today and see whether you have got the right answers. We've then got our magic maths. Now, I love a bit of magic and I love maths. So the two of them combined together is right up my street. So, are we ready for a little bit of magic maths? So, what I would like you to do now is to think of a number. Now, to start with, I'd probably say maybe start under 20. Okay, some of you might decide to start with a smaller number. So you're going to think of a number. What you're then going to do is you're going to double it, or times it by 2, because we know they mean the same thing. You're then going to add 10 to that number. Then you're going to halve it, and we know that halve it means divide by 2. Then you're going to take away your original number. So if you start with the number 2, you're going to subtract 2. You start with the number 10, you're going to subtract 10. Is your answer 5? I wonder. What I'd then like you to do is to try it with a different number. So if you started with the number 4, maybe this time you can start with the number 10. Does it still work? I wonder if you can impress your family at home and test it out and see if it works on them. We'll see. Very clever. Now, you might be quite grateful to know I'm giving your brains a bit of a breather for 2 minutes now when I tell you about the competition that we have launched today. The brand new competition today. It's the first time we've done it at St Andrews. I'm really, really, really excited to see all of your entries. So your challenge is to create your very own board game or a maths game. So in a minute, we're going to look at some examples, which might give you a little bit of inspiration. So you might think, oh, I'm not quite sure, Mrs. Nicholas, what types of things I should include in my games. There's going to be some examples on the next page that you might be able to magpie some ideas. It might give you some inspiration. There's going to be exciting prizes, for the most creative maths game in each class. And we can't wait to see your entries. So please, please, please have a go at this exciting competition. So your entries need to be in by Wednesday the 16th of February. Okay, so it gives you just less than 2 weeks, and it just means then we can judge them and get your lovely, exciting prizes out to you before half term. So I'm really excited to see your competition entry. So let's have a look at some examples that might give you a bit of inspiration. So this one looks a little bit like maybe like a Monopoly board. Okay, so this is more like a board game. So you can see down in the left-hand corner, we've got our start. And you can see, as you go around the board, there's little questions that you've got to answer. You can see with the question marks, there might be little cards that you make with little maths questions on. And they've added things like a little bridge, they've added a little lake, and then they've got to get all the way to the top right-hand corner to the final by here. So you might decide to do something like that. You might decide to use something around your house to inspire your game. So if you've got a set of dominoes, you might do something like this, where you've got to try and maybe do a matching game. You might decide to do something based on this. So they've called this one the cup game. And what they've got with this one is you've got the questions underneath and you've got to match the cups onto the circle. So you might do some sort of matching game. It doesn't have to be cups. You're going to use your imaginations, and I know you're going to come up with some spectacular creations. And the last example is a little bit like the first one. So again, it looks a little bit like a board game you might play at home. And again, as you move around the board, you've got questions that you've got to answer. Otherwise, it says things like go back 3 spaces. Okay, quite like this. It's quite colourful. It's quite nice. So this has gone home on parent newsletter this week. So hopefully you might have seen it already. But I know your wonderful teachers are also putting it on Seesaw today. And I will also be tweeting it as well. So it just explains what you have to do. So we've just said you've got to make either a board game or a maths game of some description. You can use your imagination, be as creative as you'd like. You need to make sure your entries are in by Wednesday the 16th of February at the absolute latest. And there's going to be amazing prizes for each class. Okay? Really, really, really excited to see all of your wonderful entries. Now, fingers crossed your brain has had a little bit of a break from Mrs. Nicholas's maths questions, and hopefully it's gone, right, I'm ready for the next challenge. Now, I love a riddle, but I'm not good at them yet. It's something I'm determined to get better at. So, on the next few slides, I'm going to show you some riddles. You've got to think quite creatively about the answer. It's not a simple answer. You've got to try and think about what your answer is going to be. If you think you've solved them, please, please, please come and find me. I'll be around the Connect throughout the day, saying things like our TT Rockstars scores. So please, please, please come and find me if you think you've worked out any of these riddles, and we'll see if you're correct. So, the first one says this. Help me to find my friend. He is an odd number. But if you take away a letter from him, he becomes even. Who is he? So, I'm going to read it again. Help me to find my friend. He is an odd number. But if you take away a letter from him, he becomes even. Who is he? Your teacher might decide to pause it now for you to have maybe a bit of a discussion about what you think it might be. Let's have a look at the next one. So the next one says, what will you get if you multiply all the numbers on the number pad of a telephone? So what will you get if you multiply all of the numbers on the number pad of a telephone? I wonder. Again, your teachers might decide to pause it here to give you a chance to maybe have a chat about it in your class. The next one, this one caught Mrs. Nicholas out. I didn't get this one. I had to cheat and look at the answer. Wonder if you'll be better than me. So how many times can you subtract the number 10 from 100? Now I'm going to give you a clue. The answer isn't 10. That's what I thought it was, but it's not. So how many times can you subtract the number 10 from 100? I wonder if you do better than I do. We'll see. Have a look at the next one. So, when Lisa was 6 years old, her sister Lucy was half her age. If Lisa is 40 years old today, how old is Lucy? We'll do that again. When Lisa was 6 years old, her sister Lucy was half her age. If Lisa is 40 years old today, how old is Lucy? I'd be interested to hear what you think the answer is to that riddle. And then we have one more. This one's a clever one. So it says, what is the number of the parking spot occupied by the car in the picture diagram above? So what is the number of a parking spot occupied by the yellow car in the diagram above? And look really carefully with this one, really carefully. As I said, please, please, please come and find me. If you think that you found out one of the answers to these riddles, please come and find me and I will let you know whether you are correct or whether you need to give it a little bit more thought maybe. At the end of the day, I will share all of the answers with the grown-ups in your class, just in case it bugs you over the weekend and you're desperate to know the answer. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. You know how much I love a little game, or doing them in celebration assembly, so of course I was going to put them in the assembly today. But thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for listening. I cannot wait to see all of the exciting things that you get up to. I cannot wait to have a look on TT Rockstars and see which year groups are winning and which classes are winning, and is it going to be the students or is it going to be the teachers that are winning? I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see all of your lovely faces around the Connect today. Dabuchi!
Story box.
Number 8 has kept me smiling since I've learned to count that high. I always cut 8 slices when I serve a piece of pie. I got that octopus makes me eat. She likes to wear roller skates. When it comes to nifty numbers, you know I love those crazy 8s. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Count 8 legs on the spider. The stop sign's got 8 sides. When 8 hippos hit the playground, that means 8 busted slides. 8 chickens have a party when 4 roosters bring their dates. And when it's time for a card game, my favorite one is Crazy 8s. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can count 8 flying saucers, 8 monsters from Japan, and 8 tigers on vacation in an 8-seat minivan. 8 clowns in the circus, each one with 8 spinning plates. This number drives me bananas. You know I love those Crazy 8s. Crazy 8s. Crazy 8s. Crazy 8s.